Praise Yah. This is Wooly, also known as Yaazi Yah, and
Sister Cece.
we thank you for joining us for another time of Testify, where we can testify about the goodness of Yah. And like we say often on whenever we talk, if you want to share your testimony, please email us at pqlr1radio@gmail.com, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 o'clock, and we can share your testimony as well. And today we want to share a testimony about us, our marriage. And today is the second, and our actual 2-year anniversary is on the 4th, would be the rest day, which is perfect. It falls on a rest day this year. And it'll be 2 years of us, 2 years since our wedding date when we got married. And so we want to talk about the testimony of this testify of, how that happened, and just the way Yah was moving to actually make that happen, and how it happened quickly too. It wasn't a delay time, the way Yah works, and just really talk about how it was just it was all Yah. I can't even say it was us. No, it was all Yah to make that happen. So you want to say before we get started, Cece?
No, I mean, it definitely is amazing how everything has come together, and it's also amazing how Yah actually shows you that there is purpose in marriage. People, well, we as people, we have been watered down by television, and we have grown to know that marriage is something that's very fluffy, that is it's just like a novelty. Like the wife is like a notch for the husband, or a trophy wife, and then the husband is like an accessory to the wife. That's what TV teaches you, like when you're watching things like Real Housewives of Atlanta and all that, and you're fantasizing out of your quote dreary life into this fake thing that's going on television. And so you just, in your mind, you're thinking that marriage is one way, but what we have been shown is definitely not what marriage is supposed to be. And just me in this time, this season of my life, I'm in great awe and appreciation of Yah, of Yah showing me what marriage really is to be. Not that I've arrived or anything like that, but what it is to be. It's definitely not something of novelty, not a trinket or a notch or anything like that. It's work, it's kingdom business, and if you're doing it right, you will definitely be fruitful and multiply in Yah and the things that He has you doing. You'll take great pleasure in it. So, yeah.
Praise Yah. Yeah, I want to share a verse of scripture. Before we even got married, some scripture I will recite and just read and meditate and memorize, and I will confess over my life, even though I wasn't doing everything what I was supposed to be doing. But y'all showed me this verse, the scripture, years back, and I read it often. I got it in my memory bank now, but I read this verse often before we got married, and I'll read it for you guys. It's Psalm 128. Psalm 128. It says, "Blessed is everyone that fears Yah, that walks in His ways. For thou shalt eat the labor of your hands. Happy shall you be, and it shall be well with you. Your wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of your house, and your children like olive plants round about your table. Behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that fears Yah, and Yah will bless him out of Zion, and you will see the good of Jerusalem all the days of your life. Yes, you will see your children's children, and peace upon Israel." And that one verse that stood out to me, of course, was said that you'll be blessed if you fear Yah, walk in His way. But it says your wife should be as a fruitful vine by the sides of your house. And that verse always stood out to me because I wanted a wife that would be fruitful around my house and not be everywhere else. Like so many people are just out doing their own thing and they're not focused on their household. They can do so many other things. But He said you'll be fruitful. Your wife will be fruitful by the sides of your house. And then it said you see your children's children, and we know we have a granddaughter, which it fills that up for me. Like, man, yeah, I thought I'll never see my grandchildren, but we have a granddaughter here. So, but let's backtrack. And the other day I shared on the channel some interviews we had, that CC did with me, because the first interview, you know, we never met each other in person. So let me backtrack even more. How did we meet? Good question. How did we meet? I was doing videos a lot back then. I was by myself, and I was just doing videos. Like, I had a thought, I'd do a video. I would go downtown, I had a thought, I'd do a video. And I was new to Twitter then. I was kind of learning it. And I was just doing a video downtown by the arch, and I was talking about the arch. And the St. Louis Arch is actually, the shape of it is if you have a chain in your hand, you let it hang down, the arch that it makes is what it is. And if you stand at the arch, right behind it, just west of it, like kind of, if you're standing back, it's like it's in the middle of it, is the old courthouse. They call it St. Louis Old Courthouse. That's where the Dred Scott case was tried, and also where our ancestors in the area were sold on the stairs right there. So you got this chain, you got the old courthouse right there. It's all symbolic. It's only like a few buildings that are downtown St. Louis that have been there forever. It's this church that's right to the south of the arch. It's every faith church now. They got Jewish stuff on it, Catholic, everything. That church has been there since St. Louis started. And then you got the old courthouse. Those are two of the buildings that have been there pretty much forever. And they're right next to the arch. But I was doing this video about the arch, and Cece said she saw me.
Well, let's kind of go backwards a little bit as well. Like, you're talking about our ancestors being sold and this kind of thing. You know, St. Louis is, I guess, from what I gather, is one of the last places to actually abolish slavery, which we know slavery really has not been abolished, but, you know, on the top layer, you know, as far as like what people recognize as abolition. And so, with that being said, the land where the arch is, a great number of the people that lived on the land before they built the arch were black people. And they did what they normally do, urban renewal, gentrification, and they remove people from the area that they live in and go ahead and do what they do. And in this place where the arch is built, they moved the black people off, built the arch, and then here you have it. And that was only in the 60s. Like, people think the arch has been around forever. I think it's like 1967, 65, somewhere around there. But it hasn't been around that long. So this place has a lot of history concerning the degradation of our people and things that have gone on. I mean, of course, there's a lot of untold things, but yeah, that's a little bit of history about the arch and the land that it was on. So back to you, Willie.
Well, I'll tell you about Twitter, remember? So you say something on Twitter, so explain that story.
Oh, okay. Speaking of the arch, that's where I was going with that. But yeah, sorry. It's just every time I think about the arch, that's where my mind goes. It's like, man, okay, they have displaced our people over and over again. But anyway, so, yeah, like Willie was talking about him being on Twitter. Well, I have a Twitter profile, but still to this day, I don't understand Twitter. I mean, I know how to post something, but as far as like how it works, I think it kind of moves a little bit too fast for me. Whereas Facebook, I understand it. Instagram, kind of. But Twitter just moves very fast, and it's just like immediate interactions and reactions. And, you know, I never really got that involved with Twitter. I'm still on there today, and I'll post stuff, but it's like I get on and get off. I just post something. I mean, I really don't interact. But one particular day, I remember I was in my apartment, and I was standing by the window, because I had these huge windows, and I was standing by the window, and I'm looking at my phone, and I saw Willie talking. I mean, he was like saying something, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just was listening, and then I saw he was by the arch, and I was like, oh, he's here in St. Louis. I wonder where his church is, or his ministry, or whatever, you know, because, you know, we don't really say church anymore in this walk. Like, you know, we're not going to no church. But, you know, I'm just thinking, okay, you know, and I see him. And he had like an afro, so I'm like, okay, he's kind of natural. Okay, you know, so maybe he's, I don't know, I didn't really have any idea. But then I, you know, did some further investigation and clicked around and found that he had an actual website. And I was like, oh, a website. So I'm thinking this is a whole ministry. That's good. And at the time, I was doing interviews for a certain platform. And I was doing the interviews on ministry, music, and community works, you know, businesses, that sort of thing. So I reached out to him to find out if he'd be interested in talking about his ministry, you know, because clearly when I read the website, I saw, you know, the keywords that we look for, Yah and Yahusha, and, you know, so I'm like, oh, okay, wow, all right. This is something that's going to be good. So I reached out to him and he reached out back to me. I don't really know what I expected, but, you know, we did make communication, and I did set up the interview, and we did an interview. I remember I was sitting at my dining room table, and he was on his couch, and we just did an interview over Zoom. And was this before COVID or during COVID? It was like...
It was like right after. It was the middle of COVID. It was 2020.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
So COVID started pretty much that January for the most part.
So it wasn't 2019?
No, 2020.
Okay, so 2020. Really? That was, what did you say, January?
Well, COVID kind of started around that time, January.
Well, the craziness hit like February or March.
Yeah. So it was right in COVID time.
Okay. Because for some reason I thought it was before then, like way before then. But anyway, meanwhile, so we did the interview or whatever, and I mean the interview got sent over to where it got sent, and it just kind of got lost in my computer because I really didn't know what I was doing beyond sending the interview where it needed to go. But yeah, so that's where it all started, is the actual interview that we had. And
prior to the interview, you know, I did a lot of Facebook Lives, and I had a couple cousins that watched it. My cousins are passing away. They're about same age, one a little older than me, but they were watching. And then it was Cece, and I had a couple of people I went to high school with. They were randomly come and watch, you know. And so she was interacting a lot on the Facebook Lives. I'd be out there preaching on Facebook Live, and I would take a break when I'm preaching and see any comments, and she would comment or ask questions for the person I was talking to, or ask me to say something. But I didn't know how she looked, because she had this kind of meme picture, and I thought that's how she looked. I didn't know, because I was kind of new to online, so I made the website and stuff, and I just did a crash course and everything, and I just didn't really know what I was doing online. So I thought that was her picture. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know how she looked. I just saw that picture, and she set up the interview, and I was super nervous because I did another radio show a while back, and didn't quite end so well because me and the person didn't agree doctrinally, and we had some issues, just talking off air about the different issues we had, and it didn't kind of end well. So I was kind of nervous about going on to somebody else's platform. I was like, it didn't end too well for me last time. I don't know. And I was like, who wants to hear about me? I'm just out here preaching. I was just out there preaching. That's all I was doing, making signs and preaching. And that was kind of what I was doing. And she asked me to do that, and I was a little nervous. And I think we texted or something, or emailed back and forth, but that was about it. It wasn't no, I wanted to be my wife, anything like that, because at the time I was quote unquote engaged to somebody, and it was
quote unquote.
Yeah, because
you were engaged to somebody.
Well, I was engaged, right. But I say quote unquote because it wasn't really an engagement, because there was no interaction really, because I was out preaching by myself. Nobody ever saw her. I was out preaching by myself. She wasn't following Yah, and I was just really in disobedience. And I knew Yah was like, "What are you doing?" So, and I know Cece knew that, because I would say I would call her my wife, and even though I wasn't married, you know, just in sin. And Cece thought I was married, but I had a ring and everything.
Right.
You know, so that was I was saying quote unquote married, engaged, because while I was engaged, I wasn't actually living like we were engaged. Right. There was no wedding date set.
I didn't mean to laugh like that, but I mean, you know why I laugh? Because it's like yesterday to me in my mind. Because I remember looking at this video, this one particular video, And I remember I was watching and I was talking with you or whatever, and I did see the ring, and I was like, oh, you know, he's married. I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, okay, he's married to somebody.
Because we weren't like trying to hook up as far as when we were talking. It wasn't nothing like that. It was all professional about ministry stuff.
Right. And I was excited again because it's like, wow, somebody in my area. Because at the time I was like, I didn't have anybody that I was talking to or anything like that. About the word, you know, I wasn't going to a congregation or what do you call them?
Like assembly.
Yeah, that's it. I wasn't going anywhere like that, so I was just kind of studying by myself with the people on YouTube. You know, getting the chats with different people, different ministries or whatever. So I was excited that you were in the area. Like I didn't intend on like ever meeting you or anything like that necessarily.
I thought we were just going to talk on Facebook, do the Facebook Lives.
Right.
I didn't expect to meet in person.
Well, at the time, I considered anything, you know, just inappropriate. Like, I wasn't even
it wasn't
way,
even,
like, oh, let me hunt him down or, you know, oh, let me meet up. Like, that just was not in my thing at all. I just said, oh, you know, there he is. He's on. Let me interact, you know, because that's, you know.
Yeah, and I want to interact because I said the person I was engaged to, it was no scriptural engagement. It was just sin. And so then Cece was actually talking about scripture and stuff, but I still was like, you know, it wasn't a thought of me trying to marry her, anything like that. It wasn't no thought.
We didn't know each other.
Right. So I'm like, well, I'm glad I can I have another sister that I know to pray for me and talk about scripture. Right. And that was kind of it. And I was still, you know, I was like a whole year engaged to this person, and it was never a date set. I would try to set a date. She just didn't want to get married. And I was just there, and I was like, what am I doing, y'all? I'm following somebody don't follow y'all. And find out she pretty much a witch and all kind of stuff. I found later on is into all kinds of stuff. And I was like, man.
So people don't think that you're some kind of scorned person.
Oh, no.
You should probably say what it is that you saw or experienced that made you know that she was into witchcraft.
Okay, so and I usually I say I don't normally relive all this, but I'm doing it for the testimony. I kind of just forget about that time in my life, and I was being an idiot. But burning sage a lot. I found all kind of hidden books. She moved, and I was helping her move. She had all kind of books on all kinds of different faiths. I was like, "Where do you have this book?" I mean, all kinds of just wicked books. I'm like, "Why have you got these books, these symbols on it?" And then I found all kind of trinkets around. And one time, playing a Muslim call to prayer. That was a ringtone for somebody. And I was like, "What in the world is this?" And she was like, "Oh, it sounds good." I was like, and then she kind of laughed. She snuck and fed me some meat. No, I wasn't eating meat. And I thought it was some plant-based stuff. And she like laughed. "Oh, I'm sorry." And just little stuff she would do. That I got sicker. I had some problem with my guts. And with her, it got worse and worse. It's like she was trying to kill me. I don't know what it was. I would eat her food, and it got worse and worse and worse. And just no scripture understanding whatsoever. Older than me. 6 years my elder, actually. And no scriptural understanding whatsoever. And I found out that she was a member of a Catholic church. I didn't know that. Well, she would go there regularly, like every week. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know. Had a whole nother lifestyle. I didn't know about other people, all kind of stuff. But the sage and the trinkets and the books and the medallions, the person wore a lot of jewelry, a lot of just, I looked at the jewelry, what it was. And all of them had symbols, had the eye symbol. And I started seeing these things, and I was just blinded because I was by myself. Here's this person. I thought, this is a person I can change. You know, they'll follow me. You know, I thought the whole thing, well, she's not living right, but I went to Paul. Well, Paul said, you know, you can change a person, but that doesn't apply to somebody. It doesn't apply to somebody who's not following Yah. She's not a Israelite. She's not following Yah. No desire to follow Yah.
Well, it sounds like she maybe have been like, you know, our people are just confused. An interfaith situation, like anything that's going to work for me, I'm going to grab onto it.
That's just how it was.
Yeah.
And I had convictions, but then...
Except Yah. You know, they grab onto anything but Yah. It's like, because once you actually do grab hold of Yah, he will require that you let all those other things go. But those other faiths, they don't require that you do that. They're like,
You can do it all.
Heap them on, more devils. But Yah is like, no, I'm a jealous Yah. You got to put that stuff down. There's none other than me, and that's why people do that. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try yoga. I'm going to try Buddha. I'm going to try the African spirituality. I'm going to try all these different things. Like they'll do anything that they feel will get them somewhere. And, those demons will allow you to progress somewhat. But we have to remember that it's actually Yah that allows these things. And, he knows what's going on. He's not in the dark. But Yah is the one and only creator of everything.
Yeah, and even in that, I was a bad witness though. So I hear I'm trying to lead somebody to Yah, but I'm sinning. So it's like, you can't do that, So Yah's like, they're not going to bless this. And I slowly started, real quickly, I was like, Yah, I got to get out of this. And I wanted a way out. And I had to find a way out. I was like, Yah, I can't do this because seeing other people, I found out, just little stuff. So I started seeing. I'm like, whoa, I went out and bought this fancy ring and all this stuff. And the person is pretty much nobody knows about me. I'm a secret.
Wait, you bought the fancy ring, but the fancy ring wasn't even good enough.
Right. And it was. Actually, I bought two. I bought one ring and she was like, it was cheap. And she was like, oh, I can't really wear that. It's too small. So I went and got another one. And even that one wasn't right. So it was just all this stuff. It was just and I had no bitterness anymore. I realized I was in sin. So Yah was just showing me, hey, that's what Scripture talks about in Ecclesiasticus. A wicked woman is laid up, is set up for a wicked man, or lined up for a wicked man. I was being in wickedness. I was sinning. I was in fornication. I was sinning. I wasn't married. I was sinning. And that blinded my eyes to a lot of things. So yeah, I think that's another reason why I started getting my gut itch started getting worse and worse. And I started just really not liking myself. I was out there preaching while I'm doing it. I'm sinning, but I'm trying to preach, and it was just Yah was like, you got to stop, and I just couldn't really do it. I was like, I can't do this. I'm just in sin. I got to stop. I can't do this. So I need to get married, but she didn't want to get married. Just a whole year just kind of pushed it off. Didn't ever want to get married. So eventually I had to just break it off because she ended up buying a house, and I was like, I'm gonna come over and do something, and she's like, oh, we moved. Like, what do you mean you moved? And I was like,
that's how you found out?
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you moved? And she said the address. Oh, but I got a house yesterday. I was like, what? You got a house? Like, what do you mean you got a house? I was just like, really? You just showing me that you doing your own thing. And I was like, I'm not moving into your house, and I was like, I just want to get a place, if we got married, but I was like, what's going on here? And then Yah showed me some other things. When I helped her move from her apartment to that house, I saw all these trinkets and all these little symbols and things. So I was like, I got to get out of this. And I just broke it off. I said, know what? I can't marry you. I think the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, was a Muslim call for prayer. When somebody called and she would just smile and listen to it. I'm like, what is this wickedness? And that was the last time I was over there, really. I said, know what? I left that day and I didn't do anything. I left that day and I was like, on the drive home, y'all was like, you are wrong. Why are you marrying this pagan woman? You marrying like Samson, you marrying the Philistine, and you're going to lose all your power. And that's what's happening. You're getting sick and sick. You can't do anything for me like you want to do because you're doing this. And I broke it off. And we worked together. So she, at work, acting a fool, just came in my office, and she was like, close the door. And it's like, we need to talk. Why you don't want to talk to me anymore? And I said, what you mean? I said, no. I said, give me my ring back. She didn't want to get the ring back. I said, give me my ring back. I'm going to take it back. Give me my ring back. And, I'm done. And, and she was just upset because she's the kind of woman, she's used to men groveling behind her. And she kind of controlled men. All the men up there always like puppy dogs around her, but I wasn't. I was like, I'm not worried about you anymore. And I said, I was wrong. And I told her, I said, I was wrong. I was in sin. I should have been doing what I was doing. And you're not following Yah. I'm trying to follow Yah. I was a bad witness. I repent of that. But we can't fix it by getting married because how can two other girls to be in agreement? We're not on the same page. So I broke it off. And I was still working up there. And she would just act funny, not say nothing to me. Like we had to work. I had to court you. I had to say something, but it was just a weird interaction. Like, yeah, this is weird. I can't do this.
Right.
You know, and I broke it off, and I was just kind of by myself. Then I started preaching again, just kind of by myself, and I just worked a lot. I immersed myself in work. I would work from 5 in the morning till midnight, like 5 days a week. And I would just work. And I just drown my life in work. That's all I did. And I was still out there preaching on and off. And CC, it was around, so that was like in around September time frame. I broke it off. Then around December 31st of New Year's, CC, she texted me and said she had some bread.
Well, let me go back a little bit. So that's your portion of that.
Yeah, portion.
that portion. So the reason why I had some bread is because I had gone through a tumultuous time myself, and I was kind of I was doing some things with me for the past 2 years. And so one of those things he had me doing is basically charity work, where I was feeding the homeless and clothing them. And I had an understanding with a thrift store, and they were donating clothes to me so that I could give them out. And then I started from my small apartment with barely like any income coming in. I mean, I had enough to take care of myself, but just I started, making food for the homeless. And the challenge was I was trying to make vegan food for the homeless, which, I mean, they don't necessarily like vegan food, but the message and the word to me was, don't give these people anything that you wouldn't eat yourself. So I was like, whoa, okay. So, again, I was like on this shoestring budget, like trying to figure this out. Like, okay, am I going to have to go buy chickens for them? So I was thinking I could go buy a bunch of chickens from Sam's Club, but I was like, but then that means I have to have meat in my house, and I don't eat meat, so I was like, I was trying to figure it out. So then y'all just gave me this tremendous recipe of chickpeas, or I'm sorry, not chickpeas. It was beans, like beans and rice with like salsa with sauteed onions, and with like a hoagie roll. Toast the hoagie roll with some coconut oil, wrap it up, put it in the oven, and not even like cheap parchment paper. I had to use the expensive parchment paper that wasn't toxic. I mean, yeah, I just had me doing these things. He was like, don't feed them anything that you won't eat yourself. So I just stuck with that. And he always provided. Like, I would go to stores, I would find bread for like 80 cents. And I would like almost cry every time I would go there, because, and I go to these stores now, they do not have this same stuff that I was looking for. Like, I go and I look, they do not have the same bread and all that I needed at that time. And it's amazing. Like, I could go to this one chain grocery store. I could go to all of them, and there would be bread for 88 cents, 72 cents, whatever, bread. Now, I don't see that. So, it just shows me that he was doing a work. But, so I would make these sandwiches. I put them in a picnic basket. At one point in time, my car didn't work, so I was on foot going downtown St. Louis, handing out these sandwiches to people. At first, they were like, we don't want this. It doesn't have meat. But then they tasted them, and then they started looking for me. And so I would go hand these sandwiches out. Then when my car was working again, or I had another car, whatever, I was in my car, and I was giving out clothes, and I was giving out food, and I was connected to another organization that fed and clothed the people at night. Although, that's supposed to be illegal, like the police supposed to bother you or whatever. But I was never bothered. I was never, ever bothered, because y'all had me doing something. So, the thrift store that was giving me bags of clothes every week, it was crazy, because I would have to get these clothes and sort them out in my garage, because it was so many clothes. And they actually were kind of upset with me when I stopped accepting them. That's another story. I stopped accepting them. But so there was a bakery next door to the thrift store, and I was like, do you ever have any bread that you donate or whatever? And the owner was like, well, we already donate to somebody, but we'll give you a call if we need to do that. And so I just, in my mind, thought, she's not going to call me. This white lady is not going to call me. I don't even know why I asked her, whatever. So I'm getting sort of an attitude within, But lo and behold, I don't know exactly when, but she did call me. And the word from y'all was like, never turn her down. And I was like, okay. So I went over there in my truck, and I thought it was like a few bags of bread. No, I have a Ford Explorer, and it filled up the whole back of my truck, all this bread. And I was like, Oh my goodness. And I was grateful and thankful. You know, I didn't show anything crazy. I just was like so thankful because the word was like, never turn her down. And I was like, okay, I won't ever turn her down. I'll figure this out. So I started going to like the grocery stores where our people are, and I would set up in the parking lot and ask people, do you need bread? Do you need bread? Don't go buy bread from there. And I had like donuts and bread and pastries and just all kind of stuff directly from a bakery, and people would take it. And then, I mean, I don't even remember how I liquidated all that bread exactly because there was a lot of bread. So, okay, got rid of the bread. It was done. And I was like, woo, okay, did that. So then weeks later, they called me again. And the word still was, don't ever turn them down. And I was like, okay. So I went over there. It was even more bread. It was like bread mania. I couldn't believe that they had more bread than what they had. It was like 5 big trash cans of bread, and I didn't turn it down. I took all the bread. Same thing. Went to the grocery store, started giving it out. I was like, man, can I call people? Who can I call to give this bread to? Like, who on this Facebook list can I give bread to? And so then I thought about Willie. I was like, well, he's here. I don't really know him like that, but maybe he needs bread. Maybe he has kids. Maybe, I mean, he's got a wife, so maybe they have kids. Maybe they need bread, whatever. So, yeah. So then he was like, yeah. He answered his phone. He was like, yeah, can you bring it to my job? And his job was in a part of town that I really don't like to go to, but I was like, okay. I deliver to people. I give people food, and I don't like going to these places, but this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So, okay, I'm going to do it. Plus, it's down the street from my dad's house, so it gave me a reason to go over there anyway. So, I was like, okay. So, I took the bread to him, and I, got out. That's the first time I ever seen him. It was kind of dark. I was nervous, and I was, like, freaked out, and I was trying to get out of there, and it was kind of crazy because I was just meeting him, and he'd never seen me before, and I just wanted to leave. I didn't want to be there. I was super nervous. And so, he came out. He was friendly, and he got the bread, and he took it. And it was so crazy. I drove to, after I got done giving him the bread, drove to the street to go back onto the street. And this car almost hit me. Like literally. I saw it coming toward me like a zillion miles an hour. And all I could do was sit there in my car. But just as it was about to hit me, it was like something hit the car and deflected it. So it just went onto the median instead of hitting me. And if you don't know me like that, which anybody listening probably doesn't, I've been in a car accident since 2015, either every year, every other year.
Oh, yeah.
Every year, every other year, some sort of car accident, not at fault by me at all. So I just kind of sat there and I saw this car coming at me, and it's like a deer in headlights situation. And all of a sudden, that car is like something to hit it so it could not hit me. And it went onto the median, and I immediately called Willie, and I was like, oh, a car almost hit me, whatever. And, he was like, oh, that's crazy. These people drive crazy. But in my mind, I'm like, he doesn't understand what that really means. Like, I knew that something was supposed to be happening because that car was sent to kill me, like right there on the corner of his job. So I was like, whoa, okay. And then from then on, we had been on the phone ever since then.
Yeah, and let me say this. I was a police officer at the time. I was working security at the store, the local grocery store, Snooks. It was late that night, too. It was dark. And so I come out, and I was a lot bigger then. I was like
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it was December 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Everybody about to start shooting.
Wait, let me not say New Year's Eve. It was December 31st. Sorry.
Well, the Gregorian calendar New Year.
Right.
Not our New Year.
Right.
So I was a police officer then. I was a lot bigger. I was like 190. I had all my gear on. And I'm working in where I worked security at after my regular post. It's a bad neighborhood. I mean, people get carjacked and shot in the parking lot, and it just, so I'm on edge. I know it can go down at any moment. Like I had to constantly lay hands on people and grab people and break up fights, and people were trying to fight me, and people shooting in the parking lot and getting shot, and drive-bys in the parking lot. It's like a regular occurrence at the store I worked at. It's over in an area called Jennings here.
Hence the reason why I didn't want to be over there.
Right. So when she came out, so I came and she parked and I came out and I was just looking around, make sure nobody trying to bother her. Cause here's just look, she's first time seeing her and I was like, man, she's pretty. You know, I saw her on the thing, but I never actually saw her in person. So I was like, okay, man. And I just saw that she was nervous. I could tell she was nervous. You know, because doing a job, I know I could read people, and I knew she was nervous just while she was looking around. I was like, I wasn't nervous because I was so used to people shooting around me and acting crazy. I was like, whatever. I'm not even fazed about what's going on around there. And the fact that she still talked to me further, because prior to this, she can give her own testimony later about it. She had some domestic violence things, and the police did her dirty. So here I am, I'm a police officer. And so it's like, I'm on the side of the people who did her wrong and persecuted her, and here I am, a police officer, but I'm following Yah, and so we end up talking that whole night. Like we literally, like I told you I worked a lot. I would go to work, get up at like 5 or 6, go to work at my regular job, and then get off that, and I go to the store. Sometimes I would go home, or go to the store, or go work out or something, or I would just go home for a second, or I'd go right to the work there. So I work at like 5, 6 in the morning until like midnight. So I'm there I'm working all day. So I got off working and she told me about what happened. So I said, we can call and talk. So I sat in the couch and we literally talked until like 8 or 9 in the morning. It was crazy in the morning. We talked the entire night. Like it was a long time. And then each day after that, we talked maybe the same amount of time. Like I'm talking hours, like 6, 7, 8 hours on the phone. We just talked the entire night. Tell her about my life and her life, and I let her know, no, I'm not married. I said, no, I broke that off. And, you know, and she was like, oh, I thought you were married. And I said, no, I told her my whole story about that. And she was like, really? So I was like, man, she really ain't going to deal with me now because here I am. I'm supposed to follow y'all, but I'm doing this. I was like, I thought after that, she done with me because I was not being a good witness. And she told me about her life and what she had been through and her kind of 2 years of solitude. She was kind of by herself and just y'all working with her some things. And we were just talking about that. And then we talked that entire night. Like literally the next day we talked all day. The next day and the next day and the next day. And then we met to go to a pizza place. Actually, we talked that Sunday. It was like Saturday and Sunday or something. Like a few days later, we said, let's meet up, let's have a meal. And so we met at this place called Pie Pizza. It's not in between both of kind of where we live at. She's downtown, I'm further down, we're in another area. We met there and we had some pizza. And I didn't even touch her hand to pray.
I'm just thinking about when we did meet, like how far I was coming. And you live like right down the street.
Yeah, it was. I was saying it's in the middle, but it really wasn't. She drove a lot longer than me. No. I was on the same street where it was. I was like maybe 10 minutes away. She was probably like 15, 20, depending on when you get caught in traffic. A little longer.
Right.
But this is longer. So we sat down, and I was like, man, you know, she's coming here to meet me to eat some pizza. So I had some Rubik's Cubes because anybody knows me, I like to solve Rubik's Cubes. I have all kinds of Rubik's Cubes. I have all kinds of shapes and sizes of Rubik's Cubes that I solve, and I teach people how to solve them too. So I gave her a couple of Rubik's Cubes. I wanted her to see, okay, this is something that, like, I'm a pretty nerdy guy. You know, I like this type of stuff, math stuff, and I gave it to her, and I was shocked that she wasn't like, what is this geeky stuff? Because most people don't like what I like. I like to solve puzzles and cubes, and I like math problems. I like that type of stuff. I took a math course in college, community college. I was happy. I was just happy to use my math mind. So we ate pizza, and we just talked. We talked so much that people were like, we're closed. I was like, okay, we got to go then, I guess, you know. And we went our separate ways. We didn't hug. We didn't, like, I literally did not touch her. Like, nothing happened. And she went our separate ways, And then we kept talking every day on the phone. So that was like, say, that was the first. And then the second, third, fourth, fifth. And we talked and talked and talked. And then I think we ended up meeting for a rest day in a Barnes & Noble. We sat in the same car together in the middle parking lot, and we prayed, and I grabbed her hand. I touched her hand just to pray. Barely. That was it. That was the only interaction we had. It really was.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was like barely.
Barely.
And we prayed. We sat in my car and we prayed. And we just read the scripture. And we spent most of the day there and the rest day. You know, and then that was like maybe 7th or 8th day or something. And then by day 12, we went and got our marriage license. And then it was that fast. Mm-hmm. You know, I kind of just knew this person. I want to marry you. And she didn't object to it, nothing. She didn't
okay.
Yeah, she wasn't like, nah. And, you know, I didn't have money for a ring or anything like that. But I had the other ring that I took back. So I took that back. And then I added more money to get a ring that she wanted.
And what did I say? Let's look in the clearance section.
I was like, well, yeah.
What kind of thing is this?
Did.
I'm not trying to spend all this money.
And we got a clearance ring. Right. It was a good ring.
And it's still, And the lady at the store was like, what do you mean in the clearance section? I'm like, I don't believe in spending a bunch of money on this kind of stuff.
Because most women want you to buy the most expensive thing.
No, I was like, no, like that cannot happen. Not that I don't feel like I'm valuable or anything. I just have a different mindset of what, you know, spending money on. It's not jewelry. It's not those kind of things. I mean, you need to spend money on organic food.
Right. That's what we're spending money on now. Yeah.
That's what I believe in spending money on. Like, you know, you need to do the best you can for your body. A ring? No.
Because we've been looking. So we went to the mall, a local mall over here, and we went to all different ones. We picked some out. We had a lot of them picked out. And I bought my ring online for like $20 or something. I don't really, only jewelry I wear is that ring. I don't even wear a watch anymore. Only thing I wear is that. You know, and I know a lot of people say he's pagan, things like that, and we were praying about it, looking into it, but that's where we're at the time. So we went and got the marriage license, and once again we had to go down to the courthouse, to the county house, and it's the police department I work for. They do security there too. So I'm just like, I go to this building all the time. It's the courts. I'm not thinking of it, but I said Cece was a little nervous because, you know, she has an issue with police and stuff. And so I'm just not even thinking about that at first. I was like, oh man, she must be a little uncomfortable. I knew people that are working there. I'm like, hey, you're going on, you know, I knew the people. I wasn't nervous around police and stuff because I was one at the time. Not now, I was one. So I was like, at the time, I was like, I'm police. I'm not worried about this. So I didn't think nothing of it to be around them. But Cece wasn't, and which is really another miracle why she even dealt with me, because, you know, people at that time, you know, I was getting away from the police department then, but I still had the kind of a mindset, you know, because you kind of have to be doing that job. So I was still drinking, trying to sip on the Kool-Aid, but knowing I shouldn't be, trying to get out. So we went and got the marriage license, and it was around COVID, so we couldn't find anybody to marry us. Because they said they were actually doing online, you can do a Zoom marriage. I was like, really? So we can be at home, be somewhere with a Zoom, and then have some other people come in as witnesses on Zoom, and you get married that way. I'm like, this is crazy.
No.
But I remember that I worked security at a church, a couple of churches. And one of the guys, the pastor I just go there all the time, and they liked me, and they were good conversations. I listen to messages sometimes. Sometimes he preached some good messages. Sometimes it was a little Christianity, like, overload. Sometimes he had some good messages, though. I would sit there and listen while I was to make sure parking lot was safe, because it was a bad area where the church was. So I called him up. I was like, can you marry us? That was like on a Monday. And he was like, yeah, can you be here Thursday? I was like, yes, we'll be there Thursday. I took off work early, and we went and picked her up, and we went to the parking lot of the church, and I told her, I said, this is actually the beat I used to work at. It's called Glasgow Village here. I used to work that in the nighttime. I told her, I said, it's off the chain here. They shooting crazy. I said, I didn't been to stabbing, murder, suicide, you name it. I've done it in this area. A minute from here, I've done all that here. And a lot of people here know me here, so I usually have any problem because I treat everybody with respect and things like that. But we were sitting in the parking lot, and I told her, I said, just stay with me. I said, don't, just, you know. And sure enough, as we sit in the parking lot, there's a rolling gun battle go right by us. They shooting at each other. And I told her, I said, this is what happens here. And she said, what's that? I said, they're shooting at each other. Mm-hmm. And I said, you hear the cars? I said, they go right there. They're shooting at each other. And said we were kind of behind the building parking lot, right. So it couldn't hit the bullet, couldn't hit us. But I told her, I said, they're gonna go this way or that way because I know it's where they go when they do all this craziness. And they were shooting in the park on the street, passing by where we're at.
And it was raining.
Ugh. So then we got married, got it all official for us in the world's eyes, and it was a good moment for me because I really didn't see myself getting married in the righteous way anymore, because I was like, yeah, I already failed. I was finna marry this person I shouldn't have been married to. My discernment's off. Yeah, you just done with me. I did not expect to get married. I was gonna be by myself. I resolved in my mind, I'm just gonna be preaching, focus on this ministry work, and just redeem the time I have left, because I messed up. Yeah, I sinned, and I don't deserve anything else. I wasn't even looking, and that's what made it even more powerful for me, because I was not looking. Because I thought I didn't deserve it. I was like, yeah, I don't deserve the being a good marriage. I've been in all these sinful relationships. I don't deserve to be in anything. Mm-hmm. And then Yah told me, it's not what you deserve. Just seek me. And he said, since you were willing to forego it, I'm gonna bless you with a wife way more than what you thought even you knew you needed. Like, because I didn't know that health reason things I needed, because my issues were getting worse and worse. I went to the ER a couple of times. And I was by myself. I was engaged, but I was by myself at this ER and thinking I was gonna make it out. And Cece was like, she didn't say anything, because I talked about it on Facebook at the time, my old profile. And I just thought, yeah, this is my fate. I've sinned, no redeeming me. As far as that area, I'm resolved. And then Cece came.
Yeah, I remember thinking, wow, he's posting on social media that he is going in the hospital. Why is he going in the hospital? Like, I was curious, and I was like, I want to say something, but I was just in this place of total making sure that I was never inappropriate with anybody. Like, I just was, the place that Yah had me in at the time, I was so on point with everything. Like, I wasn't trying to be inappropriate with anybody about anything at any time. Like, it just was not my MO. It just wasn't. So, I mean, I saw it and I was like, oh, well, I hope he's okay. And surely he must have a family somewhere. I mean, there's just girlfriend issues or wife or whatever, I don't think I knew that at the time. I don't know what I knew at the time. I don't know what I knew at the time, but I was just thinking, okay, but it's not, because I know me, I am a fix it kind of person. Like, if I would engage at all, I would be trying to fix it. Like, oh my goodness, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Well, have you tried that? And I still do that today, but just in that time, it was not going to be appropriate for me to be that way. And then especially, I'm just thinking, okay, well, he's going to the hospital, so obviously he must know what he needs. Just all kind of thoughts went through my head, but I just knew that inappropriate is not what I want it to be. So yeah, but meanwhile, fast forward, I don't eat any meat, any animal, any dairy, really anything like that. I have been on this journey for a while. That's a whole nother testimony for another time.
And I just started that.
Yeah.
I was a pescatarian for some months, for like 6 months, but in December, I stopped eating meat altogether and all dairy products. So then fast forward to when we got married, it was just Yah helping me, seeing me. You need help to do this, because I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. And so then Cece stepped right in.
Yeah, well, I remember I saw you online making the bean burger, and I was like,
oh yeah, my bean burger.
You had like 20 cans of vegetables and beans.
Oh, yeah, I mixed it all together.
Like, all these cans, and I was like,
so I was like eating canned stuff. I didn't know any better.
He should know that he really should lay off some of the cans. But again, I was just in this place of like, you don't get to do that. Like, just don't, at least he's trying to do something.
Yeah, I was trying, much as I knew.
We eat canned stuff too, but I'm just saying, like, in that time.
I had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of cans.
Yeah, all I was doing. Like, I didn't know any better.
Okay. But yeah, no, just when you look back, I didn't see anything coming, because I remember I was just like, we probably will never be friends. He's a police officer.
Right, and nobody trusts me.
In my head, I'm like, but I guess, how Yah works is so amazing, because you are of a different jurisdiction, first of all. So that's a distinguished factor right there. If it was the same, department, I probably would have been like, oh, no way.
This area where he got the city and I was in the county. So we didn't have any interaction far as that.
Right, no. So it was like, But yeah, so, fast forward, and they lived happily ever after. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, we it's been a lot. It seemed like it's been 20. Like we were married for maybe 4 months. What was it? February, March, April, May, June, July. Oh, about 6 months, and then we had Sunpree. So we had our family instantly grew, and the dynamic kind of changed. And Cece was working when we first got married. But then I really didn't. I said, I don't want my wife to work. I don't want you to work outside. I mean, you do stuff. She makes income, but not for like full time, like all the time. I said, no, she does do things. It brings income in.
I think I didn't really stop until Sunpree came. Like I was
right,
doing little stuff.
Because I was working all the time still too.
Yeah, I was
so
just working.
I was still working. Mm-hmm. And so then she just hid in the house, you know, and that was wrong with me, you know, I live and learn. So then when Sunpree came, we went and got Sunpree. Well, Cece went and got Sunpree, then kind of changed, and she was at home and she was able to actually be here and homeschool her and spend time with her and develop that bond. And it has been ups and downs, you know. It's been family issues, left and right, both sides, sicknesses, and our own sicknesses and other people's sicknesses.
And when I was by myself, there was like nothing. It was like a wind tunnel. Like nothing was happening.
Yeah, no family was around.
Now all of a sudden,
everybody came. Both sides are just everything just exploded in our families.
Crazy.
You know, it's like when we got married. It's like the enemy was like, we're gonna send everybody around now, and people are low key. People are low key jealous sometimes, and just all these things are coming up. And I wanted to get out of police work, and y'all set that up. So I got out of the first they sent me out of the school where the other young woman I say young other woman she's not young, the other woman I was engaged to. She sent me out of that first. And then, like, overnight, what they told me, that's the middle of the day, they said, you're done, here's something, report here, and I never went back. And then he got me out of police work, because first time we went out preaching together, we were preaching about Christianity is evil. Somebody, or another officer, a sergeant guy who I was witness to while I was working at the store, he was offended by that. He was some kind of coon guy, and he is in charge of internal affairs, actually. He was in charge of internal affairs. And he went and complained on me and said somebody else did because I preached about Christianity is evil. So they pretty much trying to fire me because of that. So then I just said, you know, I don't want to do this anymore anyway. Right. So you can keep your badge, keep your stuff. I'm done with this.
Right.
And because that didn't happen though until Cece went out with me. We went out together. First time preaching out together. That's when y'all was like, okay, I want to make you guys will be together. I want you to see you're gonna be together.
Yeah, but I think I told you I already knew that you weren't going to be able to be a police officer, and that's actually the only reason why. Well, that's the reason why I was able to marry you, because if you were going to continue on in that, I wasn't going to be able to marry you. But I remember standing in my bedroom and just this conversation happened, like this minute conversation, and I was told, like, okay, well, are you marrying him because of this? I mean, and of course y'all already knows, and I was just standing there like, no, you know, just like, no, you know. And he was like, well, you know, good, because he's not going to be doing that long. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. He's like, well, yeah, you know, you can move forward with it because he's not going to be doing it that long. And so I knew.
I didn't.
Well,
I knew I wanted to get out.
You didn't know, and I couldn't tell you. It wasn't for me to tell you that, you know. But then soon after, all this other stuff started happening. So it just was like revelation to me. I'm like, I already knew it was going to happen, you know. But if you decided to stay in that, you weren't going to live. You would not live. Like, I knew that. Like, and Yah was telling me, he was like, if he chooses to stay in this, then that's going to be something else. But he's not. This is not where he's going to be. Because
that's a whole nother story. I'm going to testify about that, about police work. And now they was setting me up. It was a lot of things that I look back. I was getting set up for some things. But Yah's grace and mercy, had I not married Cece, I would have been like a sheep going to the slaughter.
Right.
You know, in all kind of areas of my life. So our marriage actually saved me from really leaving Yah and following things. Well, I thought I wanted to serve Yah, but so you can't serve two masters.
Right.
Either you gonna serve that badge, or you gonna serve Yah. You gonna serve a wicked woman, be the wicked woman, or you gonna follow Yah. you can't have them both, because even communication corrupts good manners, and I'm going to vex my soul each day, and eventually I'm gonna, a little leaven's a whole lump, the small foxes spoil the vines. All those things are gonna really just kind of lead me astray,
right?
And you're gonna be blinded by what you're in. So CC really helped me to see some things, even about myself, even things we got working now and in the future, and things we're doing. She helped me to see that. And that's why Scripture says that who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from Yah. And we have had favor. Have you had some rough times? We have rough time all the time. Things happening now, but it's still favor. Mm-hmm. I know each day I'm thankful. I tell her all the time. I wake up next to her and I'm thankful. I get up for work. She gets up work with me every morning and fixes my lunch and a breakfast. And and just the knowing that somebody's praying for you and caring for you, and loves y'all more than they love you, that is priceless, And then to addition to that, you have a granddaughter here, and it just, I couldn't be any happier. I couldn't say any more. Like it really has changed my life, because I truly believe that my life has been saved because we got married.
Well, I mean, I don't even know how to put into words the stability that I feel. And it has nothing to do with monetarily, because, I mean, anybody can go out and make money or whatever. Yeah. Anybody can do that. But just the stability that I know that I have. Are we perfect? No, absolutely not. But I know that I don't have to be concerned with certain things, because I know where you are. I mean, your desire is to serve Yah and to do the best that you can. Does that mean that you'll be perfect? No, but it means that you're going to be repentant wherever it is that you know that you might have fallen short or something like that. And you're not going to be, I don't have to worry about, okay, well, is he going to come home? Is he going to be drunk? Is he going to be high? Is he going to be this? I mean, just all those things that people deal with later on because they weren't mindful of situations. Like I said, I know that you definitely want to be serving Yah to the best of your ability, and you break your own heart if you feel that you haven't. And that's the foundation. And like I said before, people get all fluffy, all this fluffy information about marriage on television, but marriage is definitely work.
It's work.
It's kingdom business. Yah set up marriage for a reason, and it's for him to get the glory. You might receive some drippings from it. Praise Yah if you do, but it's for his kingdom to be built, and you have to be about his business first and foremost. And when you look at your life in Yah, you'll see, my goodness, this is seriously some work, And I'm grateful and thankful that I can rest in him in the work, because it's his work, But when you're trying to do things and lean to your own understanding, that's where you become messed up. The Bible talks about I always talk about the Satan wearing out the saints, and when you're doing things incorrectly and not truly following Yah, that's when you get all worn out, and you have to kind of take a step back and say, wait, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing here? And, he'll show you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. That's truly, what we need to be in concerning this walk. We have been here for 2 years now. We've been like on 16 trips.
We've been all over.
Yeah, and we're not billionaires or anything like that, but it's just...
Because when I left police work, I took a pay cut, maybe 30,000. A lot of money got cut. Just be obedient to Yah. Mm-hmm. But he has made a way. So we took this massive pay cut, but Yah has provided what we needed.
Yeah, he has provided, and it's just already done. When you're obeying him and testifying unto him, he will definitely make sure that your needs are supplied, and that's what the word says. He'll supply our needs. So we are just thankful in that, and interested in what he's doing. The word says, don't worry about tomorrow, let it worry for itself. We're just trusting in Yah
day by day.
Yeah, that he loves us, and he's going to take care of us. He's never failed us. He's never put more on us than we could handle. And his word is true. He's going to get the glory no matter what. So we might as well serve him, because he's going to get the glory.
In our demise, already lift us up. You're going to get glory.
That's it. And I'm happy about it all. Whatever it is that he decides to do with us, And so in this marriage that we are in, we are grateful, we are thankful, and we are yet striving toward everything that he has for us to do. And we pray that we are fit to do the work that he's put before us.
Praise Yah. So I hope you guys, this is sure I enjoyed our testimony of us. Our actual anniversary will be this upcoming rest day. And I'm just thankful, real thankful. And I hope that if you have doubts about marriage, do it Yah's way. It will work out. If you're not married and you with somebody, don't get out of sin. You know, you want to have a testimony of overcoming. And Yah can't give you a testimony unless you actually be obedient to him. If you let go of the world stuff, the world's people, the world's ways, Yah will indeed bless you. And like that verse scripture I read in Psalm 128, you know, he said he will bless you. If you fear Yah, you'll be blessed in all your ways. But you have to fear Yah, which means wait on Yah. And don't worry about the world. The world going to send you junk people. Don't follow the junk. And wait for Yah. He'll give you the right thing.
Yeah, junk comes a dime a dozen, but the true treasure is in Yah. And you can't have the treasure unless you're willing to get rid of the junk. You don't get the junk and the treasure at the same time. So just trust and follow Yah.
All right. Praise Yah, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
Praise Yah.